1010XL hotline driven by Key Buick GMC. Home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. NFL free agency continues. Boy, it got crazy last night with the whole Max Crosby situation. The trade now has been called off as he goes back to the Raiders. The Ravens get their 2 first-round picks back. What does that mean moving forward? And as far as the Jaguars go, very little movement. In fact, no movement other than the departures of Devin Lloyd, Travis Etienne, and Greg Newsome. Let's talk about all of it with a former Jacksonville Jaguar, the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Primetime, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, bro.
Leon, appreciate the time as always. I want to get into the Jaguars with you in a moment, but first and foremost, boy, the Max Crosby situation last night. What did you make of it when you heard what was going down?
It threw me aback, had to be quite honest with you, because something in the water smells. I don't know what it is, but there's a stench when it comes to an agreement contractually. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, it had to go through Wednesday by 4 o'clock, but something in the Ravens criteria through the exam to where Max Crosby failed it. And we don't know. We're all speculating. It could have been the physical, or it could have been the Ravens realizing that maybe they can get somebody, late in the draft, and what they felt like. Because you got to remember, the Ravens are very conservative when it comes. I was very surprised by the fact that the Ravens gave away 2 firsts for Max Crosby, but I understood their desperation because they saw that window with Lamar before his contract, and they figured that we need to get somebody that can end games for us, because they lost a lot of games in the fourth quarter by not being able to get the offense off the field. So I was like, okay, I understand Max Crosby. But then they made a decision to where we didn't need him anymore, that we're going to roll with the punches, roll with what we got right now. So it seemed that it's a little fishy. They say they said he failed the physical, but you got to remember, before he even goes to the Ravens, he has to pass the physical with the Raiders first. So whatever criteria the Ravens had as far as physical-wise definitely didn't match the criteria of the Raiders and their physical.
And, Leon, you've lived in that world. Obviously, you've signed as a free agent here in Jacksonville. You also went to Baltimore and to Miami. Just kind of take us through that. When you sign with a team or get traded to a team, there is the physical that you need to pass. I mean, everybody has physicals at the doctor. I would imagine an NFL physical might be a little different, though.
No, it is, but the team's criteria may be different in such, because I remember with the Steelers, when before I became a free agent, you take a final physical, after we lost the Super Bowl, you take a final physical, and once you get the check mark from the trainer where you're A-OK, all that paperwork is filed away. So when I became a free agent, and I signed with the Jaguars not only had their physical, which I passed, they had the Steelers physical as well. So it was a double check as far as the physical goes. And there's not much difference between, now this is 1992, but there's not much difference between the physical I took with the Steelers and the physical I took with the Jaguars. So it's a little fishy to me, because all the physicals, they go through the same checkpoints. I mean, they check knees, they check back, they take MRIs, they take X-rays, they go through the history of your physicals. So I don't know. Maybe the Ravens use the physicals as a scapegoat to get out the deal, because with my history of physicals, they're about 95% the same as far as the criteria in which you go through and take them.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, final thought on this. It's interesting in listening to some guys today. 32 teams in the NFL, all obviously with different medical staffs. And it's crazy to think you can pass a physical with one team and you can fail it with another. I mean, you go back to Drew Brees, right? Drew Brees failed the physical with the Miami Dolphins. He goes to New Orleans, and the rest is history. Now, we'll see if Max Crosby has a similar situation, but I guess the criteria for a physical is not all under the same NFL umbrella, 32 different doctors for these 32 different teams.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm listen. I'm not alleging that there's any falsehood when it comes to the Ravens with their physicals. I'm just saying it's kind of fishy that this deal was done and he was on his way. Hell, the man had himself on his Instagram post in a Ravens jersey, and that's kind of hard for a player, to be quite honest with you, because once you go from the mindset that you're not with this team anymore, you're with another team, and then you find out you failed the physical. Now you got to go back to the team that wanted you traded. That's got to be a little frustrating for any player who has the mindset of going from a team where he lost the majority of the time to going to a team, a playoff team, and a team that's been in the championship game, especially since you were with a team that you were prior with, had a history of losing. It felt good to go to a team that had aspirations to win a championship.
Yeah, he put a 13-minute video on social media thanking Raider Nation and looking forward to joining Baltimore. So it's just a crazy, crazy situation. All right, Leon, here in Jacksonville, look, I think we all were preparing for this. I don't think the fans are necessarily excited it went down the way it did, but we tried to prepare them for the departures of Travis Etienne and Devin Lloyd. Let's begin with Etienne. Boy, the Saints gave him $13 million a year. Good for Travis. I mean, that's really, really good money. What's your take on Etienne no longer being a Jaguar?
Yeah, listen, I didn't think the Jaguars were going to sign both Lloyd and Etienne, but I thought that they would find a way to get Etienne to keep him here because, I mean, that's a lot of productivity. You let him walk out the door. You're talking about a guy who had over 1,300 yards of all-purpose yardage and who scored 13 touchdowns. And I think he had his best year. I mean, he had a banner year last year. His ability to run between the tackles, his breakaway ability, being able to motion him out of into the slot or to the wide side of the field where he's one-on-one with linebackers and safeties and able to beat them for touchdowns. And he's Trevor's boy. I mean, I thought that Trevor would be a huge proponent in keeping him here. So I was a little surprised that they were able to talk Trevor out of not wanting, his classmate, his teammate back for a couple of more years. So, yeah, Travis Etienne surprised me a little bit because, Tootin has never told it, he's never been the bell cow before. Now he's going to be pushed in a situation where he's got to be the bell cow. He's got to be as productive as Travis Etienne was. And I'm not sure if he's ready for that challenge, but that's what he's going to be measured at for the rest of his career.
Couple more for former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, obviously, you go where the money is, and we understand that, but there is something to be said for going home. Travis Etienne from Jennings, Louisiana, about 90 minutes outside of New Orleans. That's got to be exciting for him, right, to go back to his home state?
I'm not sure. I mean, because, he's just got to be – listen, I'm going to tell you something. As much as I love coming to play for the Jaguars, but when I was with the Steelers, family didn't have access to me in Pittsburgh the way they had in Jacksonville. And let me just say, that could be a blessing and a curse. He's just going to have to be he's got to be able to say no, to be quite honest with you, because when family knows that you're back in town and they've got access to you and they're familiar with your schedule, I'm just telling you from experience that it could be a blessing and a curse. So he's got to be careful. But yes, going back home is always special. And I know he should be super excited about it.
Devin Lloyd to Carolina came in less than what everybody was thinking. People were thinking maybe upwards of 19 or 20 million a year. Ultimately, Carolina gets him 3 years, 45 million. Still good money, 15 mil a year for an off-ball linebacker. I think that puts Devin Lloyd in the top 5 of that category. But what did you make of that? Now, I think Devin Lloyd was the one that we had always assumed there was no chance of him coming back here.
Yeah, I kind of figured that he was going to bounce. Yeah, I think what the Panthers are doing right now, especially on the defense side of the ball, I mean, they're trending in the right direction. You're talking about a team that exceeded expectations last year with some of the things that they did down the stretch, and I think they got Jalen Phillips from the Eagles at the defensive end, and now they got Devin Lloyd, so they're trying to build some kind of momentum there. So I think, I think Devin's going to do well. I absolutely think Devin's going to do well. And I wish him nothing but the best.
If you had to lose both guys, I guess the one silver lining, Leon, is that they both go to the NFC, right, with Carolina and New Orleans. So you're very rarely going to see them. It's tough enough to lose them, but at least they didn't go to a Tennessee or a Kansas City or a Denver. That would have been a hard pill to swallow, I think.
Well, yeah, if they had, especially if they had success against us. And trust me, coming from Pittsburgh going to Jacksonville, and Pittsburgh letting me leave and go into free agency, I had a vendetta for the Steelers. Every time we played them, I wanted to beat their ass. Just be quite honest. So that intensified the rivalry. Me coming to Jacksonville, but when you leave one organization and go to another organization, and you felt that there was an opportunity to keep you. You still want to prove to the organization that let you go how viable you would have been if you had kept me around.
Final moments with Leon Searcy. The one thing the Jaguars have done is they brought back Monteric Brown. I guess if you want to lump in Quentin Morris and Dennis Gardeck as well. But clearly Buster Brown, the big one, a 3-year, $33 million deal. And now, Leon, you look at the secondary, man, with Buster Brown, Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis. Obviously, you add in Travis Hunter, Christian Braswell as well. That cornerback room looks pretty good heading into 2026.
It does. It absolutely does. I mean, that throws Buster Brown in the full-time starter position. When you get paid that kind of money, there's not going to be too much rotation going on. You are the guy. And he had a good year last year. He really did. I mean, Campanelli did an outstanding job, and a lot of these guys. I mean, listen, when Christmas comes, he needed to get Christmas cards because he revamped a lot of careers with what the kind of the defense that he ran and the plays that he called. I like the fact that the DB room looks well now, looks compact. But still, my concern is on the back end. As much talent that we have on the back end, I'm still concerned about our inability to rush the passer. So that needs to be addressed somewhere, whether it be in free agency. More than likely it won't be. So I'll be very interested to see what we do in the draft as far as getting the edge guy.
Leon, the fans are frustrated. We started the conversation off by mentioning that. Again, you try to prepare people to lose Devin Lloyd and potentially Travis Etienne, but the fact that Jacksonville has been so inactive in bringing guys in, what have you made of that? Do you get the fans' frustration there?
Well, here's the thing, Hack, and this is crazy what I'm about to say, but the fact of the matter is that I'm not a huge proponent for throwing money at free agents, knowing that the fact that they threw a lot of money at me and I was a free agent. But what I'm saying is, I think this team is going to build through the draft. I think this team has a lot of confidence in the fact that they can have guys, the develop guys, that have guys play above grade. We saw it all year. We saw a lot of careers that we were concerned with be revamped because of this coaching staff and their ability to get the most out of their players, make the right calls, develop the right talent. And I think they're just banking on the fact that they're going to go through the draft and they're not going to spend a whole bunch of money on free agency, and they've got quality guys that just need to be coached up to where you could just move and maneuver and right into those positions. And who are we to question them right now? I mean, you're talking about a coaching staff and an administration that went 13-4 last year. Nobody expected that. Nobody saw that coming. So in my opinion, they get a pass for now until we see otherwise. So when you go 13-4 and you win the AFC South Division and you get a home playoff game, you get a pass until otherwise. So they seem to be knowing what they're doing over there. They seem like they've grafted a plan not to go crazy in the free agency, going to the draft draft well, develop well, and build through the roster through the draft. So that's the reason why we haven't seen these splash players come to the Jaguars, because I guess they've got a method in which they'd rather do something otherwise.
Leon, final question. And along those lines, that's what I've been bringing up. I mean, the 22 guys that started the Buffalo playoff game, 19 are under contract. The only 3 starters that are probably not going to be here, obviously, Devin Lloyd, ETN, if you want to lump my guy Dewey Wingard. That'll be emotional, by the way, when Dewey signs somewhere else. But those 3 guys are the only ones that aren't going to be here. That doesn't even include Travis Hunter, who comes back. You get Caleb Ransaw back. You get Wyatt Milam healthy. And look, Jacksonville now has 21 draft picks over the next 2 years. They have 11 and 26. They already have 10 and 27 because they're getting 3 compensatory picks for losing Devin Lloyd, ETN, and even Greg Newsome. So the inactivity is frustrating to Jaguar fans, but I still think, like you said, there's an awful lot to be optimistic about as the 2026 season approaches.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, listen, the days of old are gone. The days of throwing $80, $100 million at free agents and hoping that they pan out are gone, bro. I mean, you can save that money and develop these players and draft well and coach well and win ball games. I mean, we've got to believe that that's the way of the Jaguars. We've been so used to Jacksonville of old throwing 50, 60, 70, $80 million at free agents and splashes here, splashes there, and they never amounted to anything. Heck, I just think that this team, this organization is like, listen, we're not going to go crazy in free agency. We're going to sign our guys who do well, and then we're going to draft well and develop, and we're going to keep a relatively young roster with a sprinkle of veterans here and there, and we're going to go out and win some ball games. So we got to get used to the new, the old stench of what we're used to. Those days are over. We got to get used to this new car smell.
Leon Searcy was a Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every day on XL Primetime. And, of course, we're lucky enough to have him periodically here during the offseason with us on Hacker After Dark. Leon, enjoyed talking to you, my friend. We'll do it again real soon.
You got it, bro.
Always appreciate Leon Searcy for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. Again, some news in from the Jaguars in the last couple of hours. Chris Rodriguez, running back from the Washington Commanders, is the first outside free agent the Jaguars have signed. Chris Rodriguez had 500 yards rushing last year in Washington, 6 touchdowns. Interesting, though, he only carried the ball 112 times. So he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. He was a restricted free agent. He's only been in the league 3 years. The Commanders did not tender him an offer, so the Jaguars get him. Even being a restricted free agent, he comes to Jacksonville now because he did not receive a tender from Washington, and he has a history with Liam Cohen from their time together at the University of Kentucky. So, again, my thought process all along at running back, knowing you're probably going to lose ETN, which they ultimately did, was, all right, Rachaad White or Sean Tucker, 2 Tampa Bay running backs who Cohen was with in 24. Well, it didn't even dawn on me that a guy like Chris Rodriguez, even though he wasn't with Cohen in the NFL, he was with Cohen in college. So Cohen gets one of his guys from the University of Kentucky to join Bashel Tutin and LaQuint Allen Jr. And I'm telling you, the money that he's making, I believe it's a reported 2 years, $12 million. That's money that Chris Rodriguez is going to have a role on this team, a pretty significant role on this team. This is not just a training camp body, if you will, to come in and compete for playing time. There is a role here, and how will that work out with Tutin and LaQuint Allen Jr.? That'll be one of the interesting things to see this offseason. That is a arrival. There was also a departure from Jacksonville, and that was officially Andrew Dewey Wingard. He signs with the Arizona Cardinals. what did Dewey have? 7 years here in Jacksonville. Pretty good as an undrafted free agent. I'll tell you the ironic part of him going to Arizona. So Dennis Gardeck was the Arizona Dewey Wingard. Undrafted guy, made good, was a fan favorite out there. He leaves Arizona, comes to Jacksonville. Well, the very next year, our Dennis Gardeck now goes to Arizona. Undrafted free agent that made good, a fan favorite on his way out to the desert. Also interesting to remember that the Cardinal-Jaguar game this past season, remember the game that went to overtime, Dewey Wingard made the game-winning play in Arizona. Remember the bomb towards the goal line from Jacoby Brissett? Dewey Wingard was the one that knocked that ball down and gave the Jaguars the win in Arizona. He now will join the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, we know Greg Newsome to the New York Giants and Devin Lloyd to Carolina, with Travis Etienne officially now a New Orleans Saint. A lot more stuff outside of Jacksonville happened in the National Football League today, and we'll go around the league. The big stories of day 3 of NFL free agency, that's straight ahead on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. Hacker here for the best weight loss program that I've ever been on. No injections, no shots, no medications. No, we're going to give you the diet and then you do with it what you will. We're not going to check on you like some other diet plans do, like some other weight loss plans do. With Awaken 180 weight loss, they're with you every step of the way. I had a meeting weekly with my coach, Kate. We met every week. We made a game plan. And I'll tell you how dedicated Awaken 180 is. Even when you're in the maintenance program like I am now, you still meet with your coach. You can call your coach up anytime, get guidance, get pointers. They never leave you. Unlike some other plans that after you are with them and you hit your goal or whatever, they'll say, smell you later. That's not what Awaken 180 does. You get maintenance for life. You get guidance for life with Awaken 180. Go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800 for Awaken 180 weight loss.
The home of the home team you grew up with.
Jimmy Smith was given a chance with an expansion team.
And what a quality person as well, a leader of this football team.
Jaguars, pride forever. 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, Checkmate's mascot and brand ambassador.
Why do you even talk in these ads?
People see me on the trucks, Brendan, so they expect to hear from me as well.
But I have over a decade's experience personally installing high-quality polymer floors right here in Jacksonville.
Well, I'm a professional mascot, riding around on the side of your trucks, smiling at passers-by.
Then could you at least tell people about our 2-stage polymer application process? Give your garage the finishing touch with a gorgeous floor that's guaranteed to last?
A bit busy posing for selfies, I'm afraid.
Years of experience?
Check. Adorable mascot?
Check. The team you need to make your garage gorgeous? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com. That's checkmatecoatings.com.
Budweiser reminds us to drink wiser, like hydrating between beers. It keeps the fun going longer, and it's a commitment to responsibility. Remember, good times are ahead, so no need to overdo it. Know when to say when, and always designate a driver.
price of gold is soaring, and the price of silver is near record highs. If you've got gold or silver just laying around, Estates Roadshow wants it. Broken chains, old rings, coins, watches, diamonds, vintage jewelry. If it's valuable, they're buying it. No appointment needed. Just walk in, get a free appraisal, and walk out with cash. They're also buying pre-1964 silver coins, flatware, sterling silverware stamped 925. They're buying coin collections, gold, silver, foreign and domestic. Plus, they've been in business over 35 years with thousands of prior happy customers. Licensed, bonded, state-certified scales, highest tech equipment, employees with GIA certification. Begin gathering your valuables because the Estates Roadshow is coming back to the First Coast, March 16th through March 20th. St. Augustine at World Golf Renaissance and Palm Coast at the Holiday Inn Express. For more information, call Marshall at 609-781-6559 or go to estatesroadshow.com and follow Estates Roadshow on Facebook to see all upcoming events.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
Firefighters, paramedics, police officers, they take care of us, and at AMCO, we're proud to take care of them. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. As an essential business, we work on every kind of car repair with flexible financing and extra safety precautions. Essential, reliable, trusted. That's the men and women who are there for us, and it's our honor to be there for them. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia. AMCO Transmissions and Total Car Care.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors. 1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Till 10 o'clock. Glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Jaguars have signed Chris Rodriguez, a running back from the Washington Commanders. The Jaguars have lost Andrew Dewey Wingard today, although, again, I don't think he was in the plans at all. By the way, tweet of the day goes to our buddy Ryan O'Halloran. I don't know if you saw this from the Florida Times-Union. It's kind of an inside joke, but Ryan basically said, you knew Dewey's time in Jacksonville was over when he turned Hacker down for a locker room interview midway through the season. Admittedly, he did turn me down for a locker room interview midway through the season, but sometimes the guy's got to go lift weights, Aaron, or at least that's what they tell you if they don't want to talk to you. And I said, hey, Dewey. And he's been my guy, right? I've had many conversations with Dewey. Dewey knows he's my guy. I think it was coming off maybe the Arizona game, so I figured he'd be in a pretty good mood. I said, hey, Dewey, you got 5 minutes? Sorry, Hacker, got to go lift. Okay. So I didn't think anything of it, but, you know, Ryan and a lot of the guys down there had a great time with it. So
the man's got to get his lift in. Can't interrupt him when he's got to lift.
Nah, that's kind of lingo for what they say if they really don't want to talk to you. That's the convenient thing to say.
We'll take Dewey at his word. I don't see him as a...
Two people told me that this year. Two people. Dewey told me he had to get a lift in. And Darnell Savage told me he had to get a lift in when I asked him to do an interview. And Darnell Savage was cut 3 days later. So maybe there is something to what Ryan's talking about. You can't say no to the Hacker when I come to you for an interview. I kid because I care. I will miss Andrew Dewey Wingard. I was certainly a fan of his, and I am rooting for him out there at the desert with Arizona. Other news around the National Football League. Boy, the Baltimore stuff, fascinating. We're going to go up to Baltimore in the 9 o'clock hour. Luke Jones, WNST Radio. It was about this time last night that the Max Crosby stuff was hitting the fan, right? The Ravens got out of the trade. Crosby back to the Raiders. Baltimore gets their 2 first-round picks back. And we were speculating at the time, all right, what does this mean for Crosby, but what does it mean for Baltimore? Does it mean Trey Hendrickson? Well, 9 a.m. this morning, Trey Hendrickson's a Baltimore Raven. 4 years, what was it, $112 million. Incentives could get it up to $120 million. Trey Hendrickson at 31 years of age stays in the AFC North, goes from Cincinnati to Baltimore. Now, Eric DeCosta, the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens, to his credit, and I guess he almost had to do this, did hold a press conference earlier this afternoon addressing all of the issues surrounding what he could say about Max Crosby. And there's HIPAA laws in there. You can't get full bore on the medical, but saying what he could say about Max Crosby and then talking about, you know, Trey Hendrickson, because there is a prevailing thought among many that Baltimore kind of got cold feet in this whole thing. That Baltimore said, no, we kind of have second thoughts about trading 2 firsts away for Max Crosby. Let's flunk him in the physical to give us an out. And then optically, it didn't look great that they had Trey Hendrickson waiting in the weeds basically 12 hours later. DeCosta said he was gutted by the way it worked out. His ultimate job is to the Baltimore Ravens to make them the best team possible. And I get that. And we're going to talk to Luke Jones, as I said, who's been my Baltimore Raven guy for years. And I think the moniker up in Baltimore is, well, after the Crosby thing fell through, for whatever reason, if there was medical issues, which if you take them at their word, there are, or even if it's not that, even if they did second guess themselves and try to get out of it, which they did, regardless of what you believe, they had issues at edge. They had to fill a position. And they did that with Trey Hendrickson. Is Trey Hendrickson Max Crosby? Probably not, but he's pretty close. He's the closest thing you could get. So Baltimore's kind of looking like the bad guy in all this, but I get the fact of why they had to act so quickly to get another edge pass rusher in there. Trey Hendrickson just sitting out there for the taking, and Baltimore is able to sign him earlier this afternoon. Kyler Murray is reportedly visiting Minnesota tomorrow. That's been the worst-kept secret in the NFL. I think Kyler Murray to Minnesota may do some nice things. I like Kyler Murray. He's got some injury problems. He's got some limitations. But you put him in a Kevin O'Connell offense, that could look pretty good. Now, are they going to give up on J.J. McCarthy after 1 year as a starter? It looks bad on the surface because they drafted McCarthy in the top 20. They signed Sam Darnold. Darnold had a great year, but because they drafted McCarthy so high, they let Sam Darnold walk. All Darnold does is go win a Super Bowl. McCarthy did not have a good rookie year or a second year, his first year as a starter. Are you going to give up on him that quick? Because Kyler Murray's not going to sign in Minnesota unless he's going to be the Vikings starting quarterback. If Kyler Murray signs in Minnesota tomorrow, he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. And are you ready to give up on McCarthy that quick? We'll see. That appears to be the road Minnesota is going down. Speaking of Minnesota, they released defensive tackle Javon Hargrave earlier today. And wouldn't you know it, a couple hours later, he's signed and he remains in the NFC North. He's heading to the Green Bay Packers. There was some thought about Hargrave here. The guy was a free agent for like 3 hours. He ultimately ends up in Green Bay to remain in the NFC North. Speaking of guys remaining or reconnecting, how about Kevin Byard on his way to New England? Kevin Byard, who was pretty good in Chicago last year. I thought Byard's career was over after he left Tennessee. He kind of rejuvenated himself in Chicago, and now he goes to New England to get reconnected with Mike Vrabel, who obviously was his head coach with the Tennessee Titans, as Byard now joins Vrabel in New England. Solomon Thomas on his way to the Tennessee Titans. I commend Robert Saleh and Brian Dable because all they're doing are getting guys that used to play for them. either with the Giants, the Jets, or the 49ers. Now, as head coaches, Saleh and Dable were bad, if not terrible. But they're loyal, if nothing else. They're just bringing in guys that played for them. Maybe that works out for Tennessee. I don't know, but Jermaine Johnson and Solomon Thomas and John Franklin Myers, all former Robert Saleh guys. He's bringing all of them with him to Tennessee, where Brian Dable goes out and gets Wan'Dale Robinson and Garrett Bellinger to come with him to Tennessee as the offensive coordinator. So we'll see if it works out for the Jaguar AFC South rival, but certainly an interesting strategy, if nothing else. Bradley Chubb on his way to Buffalo. Don't know how much is left with Bradley Chubb. He's got some age on him. He's got some injuries on him, but the Bills are signing Bradley Chubb to a 3-year contract. A lot of movement today in the National Football League. Much more movement today than we had yesterday as free agency continues. More on the National Football League coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll also talk a little March Madness. SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. All the conference tournaments are underway. We'll let you know what's transpired. We'll also talk a little Florida and Florida State in the ACC tournament, making a little bit of noise right now. That's coming up next. We're glad to be with you on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida till 10 o'clock. It's Hacker After Dark.
Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
All right, Jacksonville, you know spring has officially arrived when the pollen's flying, the grass is growing, and your septic system starts thinking about getting your attention. Trust me, a simple pump out now can save you from a disaster that'll have the whole neighborhood holding their noses. That's why you call Duck Duck Rooter the only master septic contractor in Northeast Florida. Real pros, not somebody guessing with a shovel. Right now, schedule your spring septic clean and get $50 off septic tank pumping. When you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
Put a little hot sauce on your lunchtime listening. Spicy. Joe Coward, Matt Hayden, and Leon Searcy. They are XL Prime Time.
Or alarm fired.
From the big #1 Duval Ford Studios. Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
In a world where chains seem to take over, it's awesome to have a locally owned retailer who's only focused on Jacksonville. One of my favorites, Beard's Diamonds. Hickett here. All those jewelers in the town center, they're owned by big Wall Street companies, except for Beard's. Beard's Diamonds is local. Say hi to the Lupos when you go there. They've been serving our area for more than 40 years. Beard's massive diamond inventory. Beard's all the top bridal brands. Beard's strongest warranties. And if you ever did have an issue, you deal directly with the owner. Beard's wins on price every day. They don't have extra markups to please Wall Street or pay commission salespeople. In fact, Beard's guarantees to beat any national chain store on price. So don't buy anywhere until you get a second opinion at Beard's. In a world where generic chain stores pop up everywhere, refreshing to see a local place that could give you a better selection, higher quality, superior personalized service. Don't buy a diamond in Jacksonville without seeing your best option at Beard's Diamonds. Shop local, shop Beard's at the St. John's Town Center.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
We've all been there.
You hear about an incredible event Monday morning, but it happens Sunday. Stop missing out. Jacksonville is the flip side of Florida, and we have the solution. From under-the-radar sporting events to the perfect family outing or date night, Visit Jacksonville is your all-access pass to the city. Plan your 2026 season at visitjacksonville.com/locals. Visitjacksonville.com/locals. Or download the Visit Jax app for the full lineup. See what you've been missing.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us all better, faster, stronger.
This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock. You know, Aaron, I've grown and matured a lot in my approaching 24 years on the radio. Admittedly, I understand now why I used to get a lot of like hate texts and tweets and Facebook posts and whatnot. I used to get an awful lot of grief. I always thought that, you know, getting hate tweets is better than being irrelevant, which I still actually do believe that. I'd rather have people not like me than not know who I am. But ultimately, I like people to like me. And it's ironic because I was just talking to Blue about this literally an hour ago, that I just don't get a lot of that anymore. Maybe I'm just a different personality than I used to be. I like to think I am. I'm a little wiser, a little more mature as I've gotten older. But every once in a while, I'll get a good one, and I like to read them on the air.
Oh, boy.
One of the funniest things that Kimmel used to do was have celebrities read mean tweets on the air. And again, I don't get a lot of these anymore, so I can't really do it. But O'Halloran put out that tweet about Dewey Wingert and me in the locker room, and so a couple people were responding. And I have no idea who this person is, but they know who I am, so I guess that's good enough for me. But they say on here, quote, "Why would anyone want to do an interview with that drama queen?" I guess referring to me. "Also, can someone on 1010XL clue him in that wearing that same idiotic I'm kind of a big deal hat backwards every freaking day isn't as cool as he thinks?" That's just hurtful, man. I mean, that is a hurtful thing. There's so much negativity going on in the world. I don't know why I'm a drama queen. Maybe I am. I apologize if I am. But you're going to rip the I'm kind of a big deal hat? Come on. That's kind of like my calling card. It's kind of like my character. And backwards, yeah, whatever. But can't we all just get along in peace and harmony, right? I don't understand the vitriol in that tweet. But hey, whoever this person is, my motto is, if you don't like what you hear, you can always change the channel. But again, you know who I am, and more importantly, you know what I wear, which obviously means you probably listen and or watch me on a semi-regular basis. And Aaron, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, some people, they just don't have enough time in the day to find something productive to do. So they try to rip other people down. But, you know, I think from what I see, I think you're doing a great job. And obviously that guy had enough, you know, time to type that to you and hope that you see it. And now you give him a little bit of time.
I became part of his evening.
Yes, right.
He took, it's a whole paragraph. He took a good 60 to 90 seconds to type that out.
Probably
again,
longer than that.
That's good enough for me. So I appreciate you, my friend, and thank you for listening. And no, the I'm kind of a big deal hat will remain until the end of time. How about that? It'll be here every night on Hacker After Dark. All right, quickly, conference tournament play. Florida gets underway on Friday in the SEC tournament. Kentucky beat LSU earlier today. So Kentucky now plays Missouri tomorrow. The winner of that game will play Florida on Friday. So the Gators will get the winner of Kentucky and Missouri. I would think if I'm Florida, I would salivate over the idea of playing Missouri, because Missouri is one of the two teams that beat you in conference play. As much fun as it would be to play Kentucky for a third time. I would think Florida would much rather have an opportunity to get a little bit of revenge on Missouri. We'll ultimately see. Hey, congratulations to Florida State. Luke Laux and the Seminoles, his first year on the job, they're going to beat Cal. Cal was a bubble team, I believe, 21-10. Florida State up by 11 with 40 seconds to go. They will go to 18-14 on the year. They will advance in the ACC tournament. Now, the problem is they're in the 8-9 game, so that means they get Duke tomorrow. So that's probably not going to work out well for them. But a nice win for Florida State in the ACC tonight, and they will advance to the Atlantic Coast Conference quarterfinals to take on the Duke Blue Devils tomorrow. We'll talk more. March Madness against Selection Sunday comes up this Sunday. We will talk Florida. We will preview Florida against either Kentucky or Missouri, and we'll do that with the 2014 SEC Player of the Year. My buddy Patrick Young is all over the 1010XL airwaves, and he joins me next on a Wednesday night here in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark.
The station that keeps coming back for more. More Jaguars, more Gators, more sports talk for Jacksonville. 1010XL, when you want more.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
If your lawn took a beating this winter, listen up. Prosser here for Julington Creek Pest Control. They've just started the first of 3 rounds of premium granular fertilizer. No cheap liquid fertilizer here. Custom blended for Northeast Florida lawns. Their certified technicians apply slow-release nutrients. Rebuild your lawn thick, strong, and green over time. Plus, they protect your home from pests and termites. Call Julington Creek Pest Control today. Our family serving yours since 1984.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
The price of gold is soaring, and the price of silver is near record highs. If you've got gold or silver just laying around, Estates Roadshow wants it. Broken chains, old rings, coins, watches, diamonds, vintage jewelry. If it's valuable, they're buying it. No appointment needed. Just walk in, get a free appraisal, and walk out with cash. They're also buying pre-1964 silver coins, flatware, sterling silverware stamped 925. They're buying coin collections, gold, silver, foreign, and domestic. Plus, they've been in business over 35 years with thousands of prior happy customers. Licensed, bonded, state-certified scales, highest tech equipment, employees with GIA certification. Begin gathering your valuables because the Estates Roadshow is coming back to the First Coast, March 16th through March 20th. St. Augustine at World Golf Renaissance and Palm Coast at the Holiday Inn Express. For more information, call Marshall at 609-781-6559 or go to estatesroadshow.com and follow Estates Roadshow on Facebook to see all upcoming events.
The First Coast Games is an annual team-building challenge to introduce fun activities into the workplace and focus on your employees' health and wellness goals. These goals include some friendly competition, of course, including pickleball, cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and other team sports. The games will begin in March. Register your company and teams at fcymca.org.
Are high-interest credit cards and other loans sucking the life out of your finances? It's time to say no more. Let Loan Pronto tap the equity on your home and get the cash you need now so you can pay it all off. Hey, it's Prosser here. Corey and Jack called Loan Pronto in a matter of days. They had $160,000. They kept their 3% mortgage intact. Didn't even need an appraisal. And with all that cash, they wiped out all their credit cards and 2 car loans, saving $2,000 a month. You can do it too. LoanPronto.com, their rapid equity loan program, can get you $100, $200, even $500,000 in cash. Chloe and Ethan just did it. Consolidated all their high-interest debt into one super low monthly payment, giving them an extra $1,000 a month. Imagine, pay off all the credit cards, slash your monthly payments, breathe easier. Get your life back. Interest rates are at 3-year lows. Call Loan Pronto today, 904-999-1500. That's 904-999-1500, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Florida Gators capped off a 16-2 SEC regular season with a win on Saturday over Kentucky. The Gators now 25-6 overall, projected as of now to maybe get that last number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they will play Friday afternoon in Nashville after earning a double bye in the SEC Conference Tournament. Let's talk about it with a man that knows all about big-time college basketball at the University of Florida, the 2014 SEC Defensive Player of the Year, 1010XL's own Patrick Young. Patrick, how we doing, pal?
What's happening, brother, man? Just good weekend. Watch some bats. Yeah, obviously watch the Gators. Watch a bunch of good basketball, men's and women's. Shoot, man, just excited for the SEC tournament.
Patrick, always fun for a former Gator like you, I'm sure, when you go into Rupp Arena and you see your alma mater dominate like Florida did.
Oh yeah, and obviously they let. I'm just amazed. Aren't you just amazed how Vegas always gets it, man? I mean,
yeah.
Literally, I can't remember if we talked about it or if but I was like 7.5. That was my guess before it came out, and Gators win by 7, 84-77. They were up handedly over Kentucky, and no one else could get anything going for Kentucky. But late game, maybe start to relax. It's rough. Kentucky fights back a bit. Otega Oweh was the only guy that showed up for Kentucky in that game, but they took care of business, man. It's just again too fast, too quick. Shot the ball well, rebounded well. I don't think we can be too nitpicky. There's some things that need to continue to clean up and improve, but just seeing this team win in multiple ways where every single guy doesn't have to have a great game, but it always feels great, man, to go into Rupp Arena and beat up the Wildcats, always.
Patrick, obviously you guys back in 2014 had some unbelievable winning streaks that year. Florida's now won 11 games in a row entering the SEC tournament. I would imagine at a certain point you almost feel invincible, right? Winning all these games so handily.
Yeah, you think that, and obviously, you don't want them to lose again. They need 3 in a row here for the SEC tournament, which I think is very possible, and then they need 6 and finish the season on the 20-game winning streak. It means 2 more trophies. It means SEC tournament championship and NCAA. But these guys got to focus on 1 game at a time, and I did think they would lose 1 game before the end of the season. I'm trying to think which game, maybe not the Arkansas game. I didn't think that one. It was going on the road somewhere after they lost to Auburn. I thought maybe there'd be 1 game, but I think that Auburn game, man, because they just didn't show up at the beginning of it at all, where Keyshawn Hall had 20 points in the first half or something ridiculous like that, and it was just a great one, and I heard Dick Vitale talking about, in the game, there's no, this is Kentucky basketball. There's no such thing as we're not worried about no moral loss or whatever. And for Florida, it actually early in the season, you can accept one of those. we look at their non-conference, all those games that were lost to those good teams that were really close. You can't walk away from those games and think, man, we're right there. But now that it's late in the season and we're practically, in survive and advance territory only, this team needs to use everything that it's built up from the past now, without a doubt, everything from and fortunately they haven't had to deal with any injuries. That's a big part. But right now, they're in a prime position to control their future. One game at a time. They got the double bye. They should be super healthy. Going to have a 1 seed with UConn losing to Marquette. Dan Hurley. I'd never get tired of seeing Dan Hurley get thrown out of a game.
Or fined
Never get tired of it.
$25,000. Yeah.
Dude, it's funny, man. He gets so, he'll be so mad at the referees, the officials going off, and his assistant coaches, they're stopping him, trying to stop him from going too far. And he takes his, these guys they're physically stopping him, and he'll stop. Hey, you better stop putting your hands on me right now. He's like, man, what do you want me to do, man? I'm trying to prevent you from getting suspended.
You see Patrick Young all over the SEC network. You hear him all over the 1010XL airwaves, and he's with us here on Hacker After Dark. Patrick, we don't know what the bracket ultimately is going to look like on Friday. The Gators are going to play one of 3 teams, either LSU, Kentucky, or Missouri. All due respect to LSU, I would highly doubt it's going to be them. So it's either going to be Kentucky or Missouri. And the interesting thing there is, all right, you've beaten Kentucky twice, although both games were won by single digits, and you lost to Missouri. I would have to think from a motivation standpoint, Florida would love to see Missouri on Friday to kind of avenge that one conference loss they had on the road this year.
Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, they're not going to care. But understanding and knowing Todd Golden, he would love an opportunity to beat up on a team that knocked him out, that knocked up, gave them that loss early in the year. So they'd want them. Auburn's terrible. I hate to say it, Auburn is not good. So I don't think there's a chance we end up getting a rematch against them. But Missouri, they got beat handedly against Arkansas without Darius Acuff. But that might be the matchup. It is what it is. I don't think Missouri's good enough. They have a good team. Their bigs in Phillips and Burns. Burns is 7'5", which I did not. Burns is 7 foot. They're just not good enough. They're not in comparison to the bigs of Florida, the skill and the speed. Mark Mitchell, he's really good player, but again, just not enough. And Dennis Gates, hats off to him. Great coach. And I'll tell everyone now, and I'll call it. Keep an eye out for next year, because Missouri has a great recruiting class. I think they have the number 4 and they have 2 players in the top 10 coming to Missouri next year. And obviously that's nothing we need to worry about now. But the Gators are, I don't want to say you put yourself on autopilot, but they're going to understand coming in to the game. They're going to be salivating, when you have the opportunity to have this double bye and they get all this extra practice in, they are going to jump out on whoever the opponent is, because it's like, all right, we've done all this practicing, let's put it into play, and it's gonna be fun, man. Watch. I would not be surprised if you see whoever they match up against on Friday, some crazy start where it's like 20-5 to start the game. I would not be surprised one bit.
And Patrick, speak on that a little bit, because obviously you played in a lot of SEC tournaments. I mean, heck, there's a chance if it's Kentucky, they would have had to play 2 games before they even see Florida. Missouri would have to play 1 game. I mean, these are all terrific, in-shape young men, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. But how hard is that to play a game, or in Kentucky's case, 2 games, before you even see a rested Florida team on Friday?
It's tough, man. And I fortunately was never on a team that had to play on a Wednesday. Meaning you start the tournament, like I don't remember the last time Kentucky is starting on a Wednesday as the 9 seed and playing the first game. They're playing at 12:30. So, Kentucky is a team that they definitely need like 2 or 3 wins probably to have some good momentum. Auburn's a team as a team that's on a Wednesday. They could certainly use 3 wins in the SEC tournament to maybe solidify their spot in Missouri. They could certainly use that win. They could probably use 2 wins, but all those last wins that they would need all kind of line up against Florida, and you know when you need that level of desperation is great to have when you're in that position. It doesn't change the fact that you're going up against a buzzsaw. Hack. It does not change the fact that you're going against at this point of the year. Not only does the skill level matter for sure, what team is going to be the freshest? Who's taking care of their bodies? Who's got the most energy? Who is, because the first thing that goes when you're tired, it's not your body, it's your mind. It's your mind. You start cutting short on plays, maybe not giving effort here or effort there. And just think, you're going up against Florida, who's going to be fresh, more than likely going to be Missouri. They're going to be fresh. They're going to be salivating because they get this opportunity to move closer to another trophy. Like, this is in a regular season game. Like, it's hey, you win this game, 2 more, you got a trophy. And then they're better. They're just better than everyone else. So, human nature is the one thing the Gators got to watch out for. Um, what's cool, what is fun though about the SEC tournament, guy, for everyone to know is, getting to spend time with your guys. You get to spend so much time together in the hotels and hanging out. So I know the fellows are going to enjoy that. So this is an experience for the guys in Nashville that's just going to be one of one, man. And would definitely be disappointed if they don't walk away with the SEC tournament.
Final moments with former Gator big man Patrick Young. Yeah, the crazy thing is 8 teams will be eliminated before Florida even sees the court on Friday for that first game in the quarterfinals. Patrick, as we begin to wrap up, Lenardi's new bracketology has Florida as a 1 after their win over Kentucky combined with UConn's bad loss to Marquette. What do you think Florida needs to do to solidify that? Do they need to get to the final? Do they need to win the tournament? How can they guarantee themselves that final 1 seed?
I think Joe Lenardi said they need to just make it to the final championship game. But I think just take care of business. Don't leave up this spot for any ambiguity. Just go take care of business. Win these, because they obviously got opportunities. I'm not sure if Missouri is a quad 1 chance. It might be. Yeah, that'd be quad 1, and then whoever they play, like all 3 games would be quad 1 opportunities. And I think Florida has 12 and 5 in quad 1 games. So, and I think UConn is 8 and 5 in quad 1 opportunities. So there's no debate. Obviously, UConn won the head-to-head, but when you look at quad 1, if Florida has 15 wins there and UConn has 10, it's at this point in the season, let the eyeballs tell you the truth there. Marquette is not a very good team that they lost to. So yeah, I think just making it, but as fans, as former player, I want Florida just to leave no room for discussion and just win the SEC tournament, see their name pop up. Because the big thing though is how much of a difference is it going to make when whether UConn's the 4th or the 5th seed, overall, they're going to both be in the same bracket, and there's going to be a crash course regardless.
Yeah, you're going to see them in the Elite 8 regardless if you're a 1 or a 2. Patrick, final question. We'll do more of this on Gator Bites on Friday, but this will be the last time we talk to you on Hacker After Dark prior to Selection Sunday. What is Selection Sunday like as a player? Now, maybe Florida's playing early in the afternoon, but when it's, 2 hours to go before that show on CBS, I mean, are you guys watching it, or are you fired up? Yeah. Is there a party? What's the deal on Selection Sunday from a player perspective?
Well, I think, and it's funny because you always notice and I wish they could fix this because they try to show it live when a player reacts, but it's always delayed, and sometimes you see a team and you're like, dang, they're not excited at all.
Yeah.
They're like barely, and it's like, no, they're it's just it's the delay in them seeing their names revealed. But I do expect Florida to, when they're watching, they're watching for who's in the bracket. They're not concerned about themselves because they know that one's going to pop up. They know where they're going to be. They're going to see what's the road. Obviously the first opponent, and and honestly, man, and I'm gonna call this right now. I was watching the OVC final the other night. Tennessee State. Keep an eye out for Tennessee State, Hacker. I'm calling it right now. I hope they're not in our bracket. They're going to upset somebody. They're coached by Nolan Smith, former Duke basketball player, and he was an assistant over there for Coach K for a while. That team can shoot the heck out of the ball. They were 12 of 15 in the first half from the three-point line playing against, doesn't even matter who they were playing, because who's going to stop 12 of 15? That's a hard route to come back from. So just for the fans, look, when you see Tennessee State and you're like, oh man, there's no way they're not gonna beat the Gators. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're looking for your one Cinderella team, and when I say Cinderella, there's no Cinderella teams making the Final Four. A Cinderella team nowadays is maybe they win the first game, maybe they make it out of the first weekend. Because last year it was McNeese State. McNeese State only won one game. That was the best that we had, with NIL and whatnot, and the level of playing. And you're not going to see Cinderellas. I hate to say it. We might get lucky to see somebody do something different this year, but I highly doubt it. You might not be wrong choosing chalk this year and choosing all ones.
That's the way it came out last year. It was the 4 number ones that made the Final Four, and I think most people will tell you that's the way they predict it'll go again. I like that little nugget on Tennessee State, too. We'll do a lot more of that with you next Monday when the brackets are out, but clearly there will be some upsets in round number 1. We'll have to wait and see what the bracket looks like. Patrick Young, you get him every Friday on Gator Bites. You see him on the SEC Network, and, of course, we're good enough and lucky enough to have him every Monday right here with us on Hacker After Dark. Patrick, I know you're busy, man. Thank you as always for the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see you Friday on the Gator Bites podcast, my friend.
Sounds great.
It's Jacksonville's Super Bowl of golf. If you can't make it to the players, let 1010XL bring the players to you with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates. Teed up by
Purple Heart Pools,
Universal Roof and Contracting,
and Kuhn Flowers.
Rick Ballou here with the congratulations for John's Auto. They've been in business in Jacksonville for 40 years. That's right, going all the way back to 1985. Right now, they'd like to thank each and every one of you who's ever gotten their vehicle serviced at John's Auto. So, car, truck, or diesel, all makes, all models, whether it's a routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul, go to John's Auto on Arlington Road, johnautomotivejacks.com.
From the tee to the green and everywhere in between. Join Dan, Jeff, and PGA pros for Brunch with the Tour. Teed up by Clearwater Irrigation, Tuesday morning at 8:30 on Jacksonville's Golf Station, 1010XL.
Ballou here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Roland, Roland, Roland. We're all calling Roland. The toilet's overflowing. Oh my.
When you've got a leak and can't wait a week, call Roland Reese Plumbing, 260-7059.
This is Paige, owner of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. People ask me all the time what's healthy. And that's hard because healthy is different from losing weight. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. There are a lot of foods out there that are healthy foods, but they're not going to support your weight loss. And that's what we're here to help with. We're here to help you get in the healthy foods that are going to help you lose weight. The Awaken 180 difference is our coaches. It's our team. You can find things online about weight loss, but you try them yourself and they just don't work. And that's because everyone is different. And that's what our coaches are so skilled at helping you figure out.
Thanks, Paige. Hacker here. Figuring it out, that's what I needed. And the reason I chose Awaken 180 weight loss. Not a med, not a diet plan. I wanted a solution. Do what I did and make a 180 with your health and weight. Schedule your Awaken 180 consultation today. Call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
The Players' Championship returns to TPC Sawgrass March 10th through 15th. Experience golf's most iconic stage with enhanced food and beverage offerings, interactive fan attractions, and an atmosphere built for every type of fan. See the best players in the world, including world #1 Scotty Scheffler, 2025 champion Rory McIlroy, and fan favorite Brooks Koepka take on the legendary Stadium Course and the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker, After Dark on 1010XL.
Thank you to former Florida Gator Patrick Young for joining me tonight on Hacker After Dark. Again, the Gators get their SEC tournament underway on Friday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL as they will take on the winner of tomorrow's game between Missouri and Kentucky. About this time last night, it was crazy going on in Baltimore in the National Football League. They thought they had Max Crosby. Medical red flags emerged. They back out of the Max Crosby trade. Baltimore getting all sorts of grief from around the league. And all they do earlier this morning is go out and get Trey Hendrickson for a $112 million contract. Absolutely wild what happened with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go to Baltimore. My guy with the Ravens is Luke Jones of WNST Radio in Baltimore. What's it been like up there for the last 24 hours? From Max Crosby to no Max Crosby to now Trey Hendrickson. Crazy stuff. Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore, next, right here on Hacker After Dark.
Living life on the edge of your seat.
Are you kidding me?
Your front row seat for play-by-play.
Break it free, they're not going to catch you.
1010XL.
Hi, I'm Donovan Darius, 10-year NFL strong safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm hosting my celebratory 150 and 151st Football Life Camp this spring break for kids ages 6 through 13. The dates for these camps are March 16th and 18th at 5:30 to 8 p.m. These kids will learn speed, agility, football competition, life skills, and much more. If you'd like to sign your kids up or you'd like to support or volunteer, go to DariusNextLevelTraining.com.
All right, Jackson, let's talk about it. Spring cleaning feels great until your drains remind you what they've been holding on to all winter. If your sink's burping, your shower's backing up, or your toilet's hesitating like it's reading a blitz, it's time to call in the pros. Call Duck Duck Rooter. During their spring drain cleaning promotion, get your drains cleaned plus a free camera inspection for just $129. Must have outside clean out, honest pricing, proven experience, no fourth quarter surprises. When you're stuck, call the Duck. That's 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
Attention men and women. If you'd like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Learn the secrets to bring your A game on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Yeah, well, you really crushed that ball off the tee, I'll tell you what.
Learn the latest on new equipment from all the major manufacturers on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Next time you head into a Gate convenience store, look for Form Energy Drink, designed to provide energy, hydration, and focus, straight from Dana White and AB, celebrating those who embrace grit, discipline, and resilience in their everyday lives. Check out Form Energy at a Gate convenience store.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, Checkmate's mascot and brand ambassador.
Why do you even talk in these ads?
People see me on the trucks, Brendan, so they expect to hear from me as well.
But I have over a decade's experience personally installing high-quality polymer floors right here in Jacksonville.
Well, I'm a professional mascot, riding around on the side of your trucks, smiling at passers-by.
Then could you at least tell people about our 2-stage polymer application process? Give your garage the finishing touch with a gorgeous floor that's guaranteed to last?
A bit busy posing for selfies, I'm afraid.
Years of experience?
Check. Adorable mascot?
Check. The team you need to make your garage gorgeous? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com. That's checkmatecoatings.com.
The price of gold is soaring, and the price of silver is near record highs. If you've got gold or silver just laying around, Estates Roadshow wants it. Broken chains, old rings, coins, watches, diamonds, vintage jewelry. If it's valuable, they're buying it. No appointment needed. Just walk in, get a free appraisal, and walk out with cash. They're also buying pre-1964 silver coins, flatware, sterling silverware stamped 925. They're buying coin collections, gold, silver, foreign, and domestic. Plus, they've been in business over 35 years with thousands of prior happy customers. Licensed, bonded, state-certified scales, highest tech equipment, employees with GIA certifications. Begin gathering your valuables because the Estates Roadshow is coming back to the First Coast, March 16th through March 20th. St. Augustine at World Golf Renaissance and Palm Coast at the Holiday Inn Express. For more information, call Marshall at 609-781-6559 or go to estatesroadshow.com and follow Estates Roadshow on Facebook to see all upcoming events.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, what a situation in Baltimore, really dating back to last Friday when they traded 2 first-round picks to acquire Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, last night, right as our show was starting, we come to find out that that trade is not going to happen. And now, earlier today, Baltimore still lands one of the premier defensive ends in football and still has those 2 first-round picks that they got back from that null and void trade with the Raiders. We'll try to make sense out of all of it with Luke Jones. He's our guy up in Baltimore, WNST Radio, and Luke is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Luke, what a 24 hours it's been for you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, really the last 5 days, but I think the big reminder that the entire league should take away from this, anytime you have a signing, anytime you have a trade, especially before the new league year, pending a physical. It's not just throwaway language. It actually is something that happens sometimes, but certainly when you're looking at the circumstances of, at least a borderline Hall of Fame caliber player, just talk about something that sent shockwaves throughout the league on Tuesday night.
Well, let's kind of go through this in chronological order. Let's go back to last Friday. You and I were talking beforehand The Baltimore Raven franchise doesn't do things like this, trade numerous first-round picks, yet they did. So at the very beginning of this, last Friday, when you found out Baltimore giving up 2 first-rounders for Max Crosby, what was the reaction in Baltimore?
Shock. I mean, you just said it. I mean, this is a franchise that had never and still has never traded a first-round pick for a player, let alone 2. That's why. And sure, when you're talking about the offseason, you get to early January as the Ravens didn't make the playoffs this past year. His name came up. Trey Hendrickson's name came up. You talk about it because they need pass rushers. But when you're hearing the reports that the Raiders are after 2 first-round picks, I mean, you're just sitting there saying, well, Eric DeCosta's not going to do that. The Ravens aren't going to do that. So it was shocking, looking at it through that lens. Could I have seen a scenario where the Ravens would have traded a first and a third, a first and a player, something like that? Sure, right? Because Max Crosby's a heck of a player. So, but it was surprising, yet at the same time, and this is where I'm skeptical of the Ravens playing games here or it being this major buyer's remorse and not very genuine, very legitimate concerns about the state of Max Crosby's surgically repaired knee is this was universally praised. It was quite the dopamine hit over the last 4 or 5 days for the organization when everyone's saying, wow, you just got your most impactful defensive player since Terrell Suggs in his prime. And, this guy's going to be a leader. This guy's going to be a force multiplier. So, it wasn't like, for example, the Ravens 8 years ago signed Ryan Grant, a wide receiver for the Washington Redskins at the time, who had basically been a career backup, and the deal was panned instantly. That was a scenario where you say, all right, maybe the physical issue, maybe there was some buyer's remorse. So point is, we don't really know, but this was something that was so exciting and regarded as so reinvigorating for a franchise that, let's face it, went 8-9 last year, missed the playoffs, just fired their 18th year head coach. I mean, that was as big a shot in the arm of adrenaline as you could draw up. So for it to turn then the way it did a few days later, I mean, absolutely stunning.
Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore. He's our guy when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. All right, we go from what happened last Friday with the trade, and now let's go to 24 hours ago. It was literally about the time my show started last night, Luke, that I see the Adam Schefter tweet. The Raiders sent out that statement saying Baltimore has basically backed out of the trade, and it took me a while to even go with it. It took me a couple of minutes. I had my producer Aaron kind of make sure it wasn't one of those fake things, but then when it blew up a couple of minutes later, I'm thinking, holy moly, and that's me here in Jacksonville. Let me go to you in Baltimore. What was going on in Baltimore last night as this news was breaking?
Well, I mean, you just had a very similar reaction to the one I had. I wasn't on the air, but I see this, and it's funny because day 2 of the negotiating window, legal tampering, whatever you want to call it, let's face it, it was kind of boring around the league. With the second day, there wasn't a whole lot that had happened. So you see this, and it was the same way. I looked at it 8 different times. My phone starts blowing up, and at first I'm like, okay, well, we're 3 weeks out from April Fool's Day, right? So, I mean, I was just absolutely stunned. Now, I'll say this. It was common knowledge that Max Crosby had a meniscus repair surgery performed in early January. We all recall the drama that was playing out in Vegas with the Raiders shutting him down. He was ticked, accusations that they're trying to tank for the first overall pick. But then, and I think the report came out Super Bowl week, that he had, initially the thought was he was going to have a meniscus trim. It ended up being a repair. Anyone who's followed football and sports over the years, you've heard those. Those have happened over the years. And a repair is trickier. It is a lengthier rehab. And it's something that, just in passing, I even said to a couple people, not that I ever thought that what happened Tuesday night was going to be what played out, but I said, that is a trickier surgery. So it'll be interesting to see, how the Ravens perceive this and how comfortable they were with it, knowing that, at face value, Max Crosby was never going to pass a physical in the way that you traditionally give one to a healthy player. So there was always going to be some projecting at work, anticipating, right? We have to think about this, not to dehumanize players, but these are investments, right? These are speculative investments in the same way that if you're going to play the stock market or whatever investment you're willing to make with your own money, right? So, but the Ravens looked at it, and regardless of dialogue they had with the Raiders or with Neil Elatrash, the surgeon that did the meniscus surgery, when they laid eyes on imaging and testing that they were doing and all of that when he was in the building on Tuesday, they clearly were not comfortable, or at least that's the story, right? I mean, people are going to be speculate. People are going to have cynicism. Some people are going to say that the Ravens operated in bad faith, and it's not really it's not my job to convince anyone otherwise of that. But I keep going back to, what did they really have to gain by running that risk? And yes, I'll hear the fact that Trey Hendrickson was still out there. That said, even taking into account the 2 first-round picks being recouped here that they otherwise would have traded, Trey Hendrickson's not a healthy Max Crosby. I think Trey Hendrickson is a heck of a football player, but he is not the dynamic, every down, elite run defender, elite pass rusher, the entire package that Max Crosby has been when he's been healthy. So I just have a tough time thinking that this was some harebrained, scheme from the Ravens to try to pull a fast one and, screw over the Raiders and that whole thing. The physicals and interpreting medical records and interpreting MRI imaging and all that, that's subjective in the same way that, or if you or I had a health problem, we might solicit a second or a third opinion from our original doctor, right? So, physicals aren't this cut and dry pass-fail proposition. There's can be a lot of wiggle room and a lot of interpretation. And, from the Ravens' perspective and we haven't heard anything official from them yet, but whatever they might say publicly, and I'm guessing they'll tread very carefully and try to hide behind HIPAA, or the fact that they'll say, well, this was never agreed upon. This was never, this isn't a player on our roster, yada, yada, yada. They clearly had concerns to the point where they decided to walk away. And whether it was convenient or not that Trey Hendrickson was still out there, they decided to pivot. And even if they had the purest of intentions, and even if they had the full level of integrity they possibly could have in trying to approach this, you're not just going to sit on your hands just because you're worried about optics. You need to go get a pass rusher. And they ultimately decided to do that with Trey Hendrickson this morning.
Final moments, Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore. I think you laid it out there pretty good. I guess my one question, there's a lot of questions, but my main one, and we'll get to Hendrickson in a moment. I want to wrap up with him, Luke. Friday they make the deal. And they knew about the meniscus surgery, right? I mean, the Raiders have come out and been very open, saying, hey, anybody that talked to us knew what the situation was. And I guess, was it a situation where, Baltimore did know about it, but obviously it might have been worse than they were led to believe? Is that what they're saying?
I mean, that's what they're going to say, right? I mean, and again, whether people are going to believe them or not, whether people think they were acting in good faith or they weren't, that's what they're going to say, right? And at this point in time, we all have opinions, and not many of our opinions are very informed at this point in time, other than what, sourced reporting that's out there. And even that, you have to consider the source. Agents don't like when this happens. Other teams aren't going to like when this happens. I mean, the Raiders are ticked, and I understand they're ticked. They're not going to get 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby now, whether they ultimately keep him or trade him. That ship has sailed. At the same time, go back and look at history. I mean, you could find a Roger Saffold deal that the Raiders walked away from, some years ago. This does happen. It doesn't happen all the time. Maybe it doesn't happen every single offseason, but you can find stories of this happening. And I think it's the same way that someone goes to the doctor saying, they're having a little bit of an issue. They might have a high pain tolerance, and then they do imaging and they realize, oh my gosh, like this person needs major surgery, right? So certainly they can't hide behind the fact that there weren't some, that there was a surgery and that he wasn't going to be 100%, right? That we know when you're talking about a meniscus repair being performed in early January. There's no way he was going to be 100%. So they can't say anything about that element of it. But if they looked at the imaging and they said, all right, well, it's one thing to have the meniscus repaired, but like he doesn't have a whole lot of cartilage left, or and I'm speaking a little bit in hypotheticals here,
Sure.
or the knee looks arthritic, or this looks really degenerative to the point where, okay, he might be fine, totally fine for next year, but we don't really like this long-term investment we're making nearly as much as based on the dialogue that we initially had with the Raiders and the doctors. And look, the Ravens might say that the Raiders undersold it, right? Again, you can kind of go around and around picking who you want to believe and who you want to side with and who had good intentions and who didn't. But the fact of it is they wanted Max Crosby. Who wouldn't want Max Crosby? But if this ended up being something where there were some major red flags, you're not just going to give up 2 first-round picks, especially an organization that, as I said, had never done something like this before. Of course, they're going to balk if they ended up having far more serious concerns with the knee than what was initially conveyed to them or what they initially thought before their own doctors and their own medical staff had a chance to really examine him and look at the imaging.
Luke, final question. And again, I think you're laying it out pretty well from the Baltimore standpoint. The oddness of Max Crosby putting out a 13-minute social media video thanking the Raider fans and basically welcoming himself to Baltimore and all that. And then he had the Instagram where he was in Baltimore yesterday. And now all of a sudden that's all gone to the wayside. It's just an odd deal. And now Trey Hendrickson is a Baltimore Raven as of this morning. And I guess my question, Luke, is had there been any dialogue to your knowledge with Trey Hendrickson, or is this something that just came to fruition in the last couple of hours?
I mean, I think it's hard to say, right? I mean, the Ravens agreed to the trade with the Raiders last Friday night. I mean, look, the official negotiating window hadn't opened yet, but you and I both know tampering has gone on at the Combine for as long as there's been the Combine in Indianapolis. So could they have had some dialogue? Did they have an idea of where Trey Hendrickson and his agent, what the asking price was at some point? Sure. I'm not going to sit here and say there wasn't any of that, but put it this way. I mean, when they thought that Max Crosby was going to be their guy, I don't think they were engaged in any talks with Trey Hendrickson at that point. I'm sure just like any other player, they were monitoring what his market was, what the market was going to be for, say, Jalen Phillips, whoever you want to go through. But, you can't help but, it would be common sense if, whatever the timing of what happened Tuesday, whether they started having concerns at, 4 o'clock, right? And again, it's not like you're going to come to a snap judgment. You're looking at this, you're conferring with your medical team. It's been reported that they sought out some outside opinions even on what they were seeing with the imaging and the MRI and all of that. So, but when that starts to go down, you're going to say, well, Trey Hendrickson's not Max Crosby, but he's still a 4-time Pro Bowl edge rusher. He's still a guy who had back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons prior to last year, which again is why I say pending a physical, because he's coming off his own core muscle surgery. But this isn't the worst case scenario, as it would have been if, say, Trey Hendrickson had signed with the Eagles, right, already, and he wasn't out there either. So, look, I think they'll feel relieved that they were able to secure Hendrickson. I still think that they wanted it to work out with Max Crosby. Now, whatever they saw, did they, was there some cold feet at work here? I mean, again, that's going to be up to opinions, and there are plenty of people around the league that are saying that. But regardless of optics, whether this was, completely kosher or you have some doubts, they couldn't sit on their hands. They needed a pass rusher, and Trey Hendrickson, he's not Max Crosby, but you're still talking about a really good player. And as I said, for my purposes as someone who covers this team and covers the AFC North, man, a spicy storyline having a longtime Bengal go to the Ravens, especially on the heels of the contract dispute that those two sides had over the last 2 or 3 years. So I think they're happy that this pivot was available to them. But again, I'm not going to sit here and just say with any kind of an authoritative voice that the Ravens did anything nefarious here. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But again, Max Crosby, at the end of the day, if he's healthy, he's a markedly better all-around player than Trey Hendrickson. So I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, it was an even trade-off and the Ravens keep their picks. No, there's more nuance to that, but that doesn't get clicks on social media, as you know.
Never a dull moment in the National Football League, and certainly with what went down with Max Crosby, Baltimore, and Trey Hendrickson, probably the highlight to this point of the NFL offseason. Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore. Luke, I know you're busy today, man. Thank you for the time, and let's hook back up in a couple of months when we start doing our division previews. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Take care.
And thank you to Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Absolutely wild, man. From getting Max Crosby last Friday and trading 2 first-round picks to Las Vegas, to Max Crosby posting a 13-minute goodbye video to Raider fans, to Max Crosby flying to Baltimore yesterday to take a physical, to Baltimore looking at said physical and looking at the imaging and reportedly saying, no, we're not comfortable with this. We're not doing the trade. Thus, Max Crosby is now back with the Raiders. The Ravens get their 2 first-round picks back. And, oh, by the way, earlier today, they agree on a 4-year, $112 million deal with another defensive end in Trey Hendrickson, who they get from a division rival in the Cincinnati Bengals. Absolutely wild. Again, when we say legal tampering, right, it's almost kind of a joke, kind of a, oh, yeah, it's Monday, but it really starts on Wednesday. Well, not anymore. I think now, beginning next year after this, and we saw it here in Jacksonville. Now, not nearly to this extent, but remember Will Lutz, the kicker from Denver, who agreed to terms with the Jaguars and then had a change of heart. Thankfully he did, because in Jacksonville went on to draft Cam Little. But you can agree to terms. You can agree in principle. You can agree. Nothing is official until that league calendar begins, which it actually began at 4 o'clock Eastern earlier this afternoon. So when they say legal tampering, negotiating window, that's what it is. Nothing is finalized until that league calendar officially opens. So we certainly spent a lot of time on that. We spent some time on the Florida Gators. Again, the SEC tournament is underway. Florida won't play until Friday, but the SEC tournament underway in Nashville. Action will continue tonight and tomorrow. And then we spent some time on the Jaguars as well. Jacksonville, one of very few teams that has done nothing, right, in free agency to this point. We'll see what ultimately happens moving forward. But again, they lost Devin Lloyd. They lost Travis Etienne. They lost Greg Newsome. I will say they did gain some compensatory picks. I believe, as it stands right now, Jacksonville has 21 draft picks over the next 2 drafts. They have 11 coming up next month in this year's draft, and they already have 10 in next year's draft. Their own 7 picks, and they got compensatory picks already for Etienne, Lloyd, and Greg Newsome. So they're certainly stacking some draft picks. We'll see what ultimately they decide to do with those coming up in the near future. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM, and we have a ton of people to thank. Again, Luke Jones, WNST Radio. He's our guy when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, and we certainly appreciate Luke taking time out for us. Thank you to Patrick Young, former Gator big man, the 2014 SEC Defensive Player of the Year. You get Patrick all over the 1010XL airwaves. You also get him Friday with me on the Gator Bites podcast, and we appreciate Patrick joining us tonight. And my buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every day on primetime, and we're lucky enough to also get him right here with us on Hacker After Dark. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday after first-round action of the players concludes. We'll certainly talk about that. Free agency, college basketball tournaments, and what should be a very busy Thursday night here on Hacker After Dark. Aaron Williams was your producer. tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Hardworking people of Jacksonville.